It began on a Tuesday drenched in rain. The kind of rain that seemed to wash away reason, leaving only echoes of the past. Thunder rolled over the rusty rooftops of Ibadan as Temilade stood in her childhood room, surrounded by half-packed boxes. She was moving to Lagos for a new job, a new life, or so she thought. Her fingers brushed against an old hospital envelope buried beneath a stack of school certificates. The paper was yellowed at the edges, sealed, forgotten. Her name was on it. Temilade Odeboye. She opened it out of boredom. That was the beginning. Blood group, AB. She blinked. Frowned. Looked again. That wasn't right. She clearly remembered her father's blood group was O. Her mother's was also O. She had helped them donate blood once, years ago. It didn't make sense. Two O-type parents couldn't have an AB child. A laugh tried to rise in her throat, but it died there. Maybe it's a hospital error, she whispered to herself, tucking the paper away. But the silence of the room pressed against her like a truth waiting to be spoken. That night at dinner, her fork danced around the amla on her plate while her siblings argued over football. Her father, Paul Odeboye, a retired civil servant with a booming voice and a thick beard speckled gray, was reading the newspaper, glasses perched on his nose. She cleared her throat. "Daddy, what's your blood group again?" His eyes lifted slowly. "Why you dey ask?" "I just saw something strange on my old medical file. It says mine is AB. But I thought..." Before she could finish, the room changed. His voice caught the air. "Don't be silly. You're my daughter. That's all that matters." But scientifically. He stood up, suddenly. "I said enough. Go and sleep." The room fell quiet. Even the rain outside seemed to still. Her mother didn't speak. She kept washing the plates, her back turned, shoulders stiff. Something passed in that silence, something that made Temilade feel like a stranger at her own table. That night, Temilade cried quietly. The laughter of her siblings from the next room felt foreign. She stared at the ceiling, her chest heavy with a confusion that felt like grief. At 3 a.m., she typed, "Can O+ parents have AB children?" into Google. The answer hit her like a betrayal. No. The days that followed were a blur of forced smiles and haunted thoughts. She couldn't concentrate on packing. She couldn't sleep well. Each time her father smiled at her or called her Temimi, it felt like a lie. Then, in a moment of desperation, she confided in the one person she trusted beyond reason, Tolu, her older brother. He was quiet for a long time after reading the hospital file. "I always felt you looked different," he said finally. Lighter. Taller. But I never said anything. I just thought, maybe I was imagining things. She looked at him, tears rising. "Help me, Tolu. I need to know the truth." And he did. 2 weeks later, the DNA test was done. She sent her saliva sample to a reputable Lagos lab. The days dragged like wet clothes on a line. Every phone notification made her heart race. Then, it arrived. An email. "DNA results, view document." She stared at her phone for 5 whole minutes before she opened it. Biological father, not a match. 0% probability. The screen blurred. Her hands trembled. Her breath caught. It felt like someone had reached into her chest and ripped her identity apart. She wasn't his daughter. She wasn't Odeboye's daughter. She wasn't anyone. The next morning, she woke up to find her mother at the dining table, slicing yam with slow, deliberate movements. Temilade stood there, file in hand. "Tell me the truth." Her mother paused, not looking up. "I don't know what you're talking about." Temilade's voice cracked. "You know exactly what I'm talking about. The DNA test. He's not my father." "So who is?" The silence was louder than any scream. Then her mother said, flatly, "Go to Lagos. Start your new job. Leave the past alone." "I can't." Temilade cried. "My life is a lie. I need answers." Her mother rose, and for the first time in her life, Temilade saw fear in her eyes, raw, deep fear wrapped in secrets too dangerous to name. Then came the slap. A sharp, hot sting across her face. "Don't dig graves you're not ready to fall into," her mother whispered, her voice shaking. "Some truths can kill." Temilade touched her cheek, eyes wide. Her mother had never hit her before. Never. Not even once. She turned and walked out of the house, barefoot, dazed, broken. The world outside was still. The storm had passed, but inside her, a hurricane was just beginning. They say silence is golden. But in Temilade's world, silence had become a blade, sharp, unforgiving, and buried deep. She didn't speak to her mother for a week. Not after the slap. Not after the warning. Not even after she caught her crying into a towel at 2 a.m., crouched on the kitchen floor like a woman drowning in guilt. Temilade stayed locked in her room, her thoughts a maze of shattered memories. The voice of her father echoed in her mind, the way he called her "my princess," the day he carried her on his back when she twisted her ankle. Was it all a lie? Tolu, her older brother, became her only anchor. "Do you still want to find out who your real father is?" he asked gently one evening as they sat beneath the orange tree in the compound. Her eyes were hollow. "Yes. But I'm scared of what I'll find." "Then we'll face it together." Temilade smiled faintly. "Why are you even helping me? This could ruin everything." He stared at her, eyes filled with something deeper than brotherly love. "Because truth doesn't ruin families. Lies do." The next day, they visited an old family friend, Uncle Benga, who had worked in the same ministry with their father back in the day. He welcomed them with a warm smile and a cough that rattled his lungs. "Temi, see how big you've grown. Your mother used to carry you everywhere like gold. Back then, those years were rough. Especially when your father was transferred to Maiduguri." Temi's heart skipped. "Wait. My dad was away for long. 3 years, my dear. Your mother was basically raising the kids alone. It was tough. Thank God for that man who helped her then. What's his name again? That politician. Shegwon Olayinka." She froze. Tolu caught her gaze. "That name rings a bell." Temi could barely speak. "He's in the news, senator now, in Lagos." Her hands trembled. Was he the one? Back home, she did what she had to. She found Senator Segun Olayinka's official website. She stared at his photo. The resemblance was uncanny. The eyes. The nose bridge. Her hands shook as she filled out a form requesting a private meeting. She lied. Claimed to be a university student doing a political project. Days later, she was invited to a constituency office in Ikeja. Her legs were jelly as she stepped into the pristine lobby. An aide guided her to the senator's office, leather seats, polished mahogany desk, everything smelled like power. Senator Olayinka looked up. Well, well. A bright young lady. How can I help you, my dear? She stared at him, the lump in her throat growing. I just have one question, sir. He raised a brow. Did you know a woman named Mrs. Abike Odeboye about 29 years ago? His smile faded. A pause. A long, uncomfortable one. Who's asking? Temilade's eyes welled with tears. I'm her daughter. He stood up slowly, face pale. You can't be. She was married. You knew she was married, didn't you? His voice dropped. You shouldn't have come here. Did you force her, sir? Leave now, young lady. Are you my father? His voice roared like thunder. Get out. She left, shaking. Outside, the sun was shining, but Temilade was cold all over. Her breath came in sharp, short bursts. Tears blurred the road ahead. She didn't need a confession. She'd seen enough in his eyes. She was the product of a lie. A secret buried in shame. That night, her mother came into her room, uninvited. Her voice was hollow. You went to see him? Temilade didn't respond. Her mother sat on the bed, fingers trembling. I didn't want you to be born. The words cut deeper than any blade. I hated myself for what happened. I begged God to take it away. But you came. And when I saw your face, I couldn't hate you anymore. Temi's voice broke. Did he rape you? Her mother nodded, a tear trailing down her cheek. It was one time. I was alone. Broke. He came pretending to help. I was too ashamed to tell your father. I thought, if I pretended hard enough, the lie would disappear. You should have told me, Temi whispered. Her mother collapsed into sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Temilade. The next morning, poor Odeboye was waiting at the table. I heard everything, he said quietly. Your mother told me. Temilade couldn't look at him. You are not my blood, he said, voice thick. But for 28 years, I raised you. I gave you my name, my love, my life. She turned away, tears falling freely. I will always be your father. But I cannot forgive her. Not now. Maybe not ever. And with that, he walked out, not just from the room, but from their lives. Temilade stood alone in the doorway, her family torn apart by truth. She found herself whispering the only word she could find. God, please, make me whole again. 3 months had passed. 3 long, unforgiving months since the day her father, no, the man she had called father, walked away without looking back. Temilade sat on the balcony of her small new apartment in Ogudu. She'd moved out quietly, unable to bear the echo of empty rooms, of memories tainted by the truth. Her mother called often. Sometimes just to breathe on the phone. Sometimes to cry. Temi didn't always pick up. And as for Tolu, half-brother, her shield, he was caught in the crossfire, torn between love and loyalty. He still visited, brought her food, cracked jokes, tried to stitch her back together. But some wounds bled from within. Temilade had started journaling. At first just thoughts, then poems, then a blog. She titled it, "The Daughter of Secrets." She never revealed names. Just truth. Raw, aching truth. It began to gain traction. Thousands of young women sent messages. My story is similar. I never knew my real dad either. Thank you for speaking up. It was the first time Temilade felt like her pain had purpose. One day, a message popped up in her inbox. Subject, the Daughter of Secrets. From Olumide F. Your story broke me. Not because I've lived it, but because I know someone who has. I think you need to hear something. Something that might change everything again. Are you open to meeting? Temi hesitated. But her gut whispered, go. She met Olumide Faleti at a cafe in Lekki. He was quiet, sharply dressed, with the weary eyes of someone who carried many secrets. I knew your mother, he began. And I knew Senator Oleyinka too. I worked in his security detail for years. Temi tensed. He slid an envelope across the table. Photos. Old letters. Things I shouldn't have kept. But I did, because I saw what he did to women like your mother. Temi opened it. Inside. A letter from the senator to someone named Debie. Photos of the senator with her mother, a younger, terrified version of her, standing beside him at a party. And worst of all, a medical report. Blood type. DNA. From a child named Temilade Odeboye. She looked up, trembling. This was done without my knowledge. Olumide nodded. I had a friend in the lab. I've carried this guilt for years. But your blog, it woke something in me. The senator paid people to bury this. Your mother wasn't the only one. The next week, the scandal broke. Senator Segun Oleyinka accused in long-buried sexual assault cover-up. Her blog post, paired with Olumide's evidence, went viral. News stations ran with the story. Women came forward. The internet roared. But Temilade didn't feel triumphant. She felt empty. Because the man at the center of it all, her biological father, had destroyed so many lives. Then came the second envelope. From Tolu. Inside was a letter. You may not be my sister by blood. But you are my sister in soul. I love you fiercely, and always will. I've gone to Ibadan to be with Dad. He's not well, Temi. Liver complications. He doesn't have long. He asks about you every day. Even when he won't say it. If there's a part of you that still loves him, go. She packed a small bag. Took the early morning bus. Cried most of the way. When she reached the hospital, her hands shook with fear. Poor Odeboye was thin. Fragile. The once strong man now barely a whisper of himself. But when he saw her, his eyes lit up. He didn't speak. He just reached for her hand. She broke down beside him. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "For ruining everything. For being born of pain. For being the mistake no one wanted." He squeezed her fingers, eyes glistening. "You were never a mistake," he rasped. "You were the reason I stayed." He died 2 weeks later. Holding her hand. Smiling through the tears. Temilade now runs a foundation called Bloodlines, dedicated to helping victims of family deceit, abuse, and identity trauma. She still journals. Still cries sometimes. But now, she cries for others too. Because the truth may break us. But it also frees us. And love, when chosen, not forced by blood, is the most powerful legacy of all.